board election resolution. Should have had a sheet.
The resolution for board elections looks like this. It's up on the back of a sheet. This resolution actually is language suggested by Iowa Association of School Boards. I just walked down through the director names. If you remember, this will be the last election that will be held in an even year. It's a 2008 election, but it will end in 2011, and all elections from now on will be odd years. So Scott will be up for re-election, or his spot will be open. So he was last elected in 2005. His original date or term to end would be 2008, and that term would stay the same. So there'll be an open seat for that spot. Chris and Doug were elected in 2006, so their terms expire in 2009. That's an odd year, and we'll have an election in that odd year. Dave and Brent's terms began in 2007, would expire in 2010, and the board has to decide if they want those terms to expire after 2 years and be 2009, or add a year and end in 2011. If you noticed in the Des Moines Register, the Des Moines Public School System took action on board members whose terms would expire in 2010 and decided that some of them would be 2-year terms and some would be 4. And immediately those who were asked to be 2-year term members have filed suit saying that you can't shorten the term of a publicly elected official. And that's actually what Iowa Association of School Boards wanted to have happen, because ISB really worked hard at trying to convince people that we can't do that. So at any rate, my recommendation, unless you act differently on it, is that we extend Dave and Brett's terms to 2011, and we would then have the board situated so that we would be holding elections for odd-numbered years.
Well, I think it's just the opposite. I think by extending someone's term by a year is contrary to the democratic process without a vote of the people. I know the legislature passed this law, but I kept thinking about what an example would be. I kept thinking, well, if the Congress, both houses of Congress were Democrats and the president was a Democrat, they passed a law to say, well, let's extend the term of the president by a year or two. There is no vote of the people. So even though they may have sued because their terms were shortened, is it really part of the democratic process to arbitrarily extend someone's term by a year? I don't know how they got around that.
Come on, let's go with that.
Huh?
Keep going now. Well, I've got my vote not to do it.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's right.
What would be an option then? I mean,
Well, I don't know what the option is.
Yeah, how do you fix that?
yeah. I mean, I agree with you.
The options are, the only options given to us legislatively have been for those 2007 people to have their terms end in either 09 or 11. Those are the options we've been given in the legislation. Now, you can have one of them end in 09 and one in 11 if you want. You can have both, one direction or the other. Those are the options that we've been given.
And the election this fall will be for?
A term that will run from 2008 to 2011. So that 3-year term, that will be the last person elected. That will be the last election for a 3-year term. Everything after that will happen in odd years, and it'll be for 4-year terms.
So
this is not well received across the state of Iowa.
So this lawsuit that was filed will be finalized prior to the election?
Probably not. Oh, I'm sure it won't.
Well, I'm sure it won't be.
I mean, they filed it last week, and it might be 4 years before they, no, maybe it'll be an odd year when they get it figured out.
So, do we need action on this tonight, or when is this actually due?
Oh, yeah, we got an election coming up.
August 1st, I
Yeah,
think. Oh.
actually we do need to, because we need to file this then at the state level. So the recommendations are that we do this in our June board meeting.
Well, obviously, in this case, Dave and Brent are the ones that if you look at extending out a year, are gonna have to, or not have to, but look at committing another year. That's a, I don't know if that's lucky or unlucky. But,
Well, I think it'd be lucky to look at all the campaign money they'd save.
Yeah, there you go.
to have them a 2-year term, basically you got 4 individuals up the same year.
I would say in the case of this board, you either need to have both people for 2011, or you need to do one of each, one 2009 and one 2011, based on your point.
Well, the other thing is too, is Scott's position this year would also end in 2011, so potentially you'd have 3 up in 2011 as,
Well, we're always, yeah, we're going to have 3 and 2, and
Yeah,
that
when
would,
this whole
you're gonna
shakes out,
have
it's
3 and
gonna
2,
be
correct,
correct.
correct, I guess, yeah.
I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but Wall Lake Auburn voted to extend by a year the 2 people whose terms ended in 2010, if that makes any difference.
Well, Dave and Brent, I guess should ask your thoughts, because you're the ones directly involved here.
It doesn't matter to me if you extend it to
I don't know what to
2011,
say.
but I would certainly welcome any petition that would say no.
Oh, you're legislator, right?
Well, I mean, I understand what Doug's saying. I think that there is a point to that. Now, I don't know if there's gonna be a bunch of people that are gonna cause grief about it or not, but shortening it is one thing, lengthening it is another. Personally, it doesn't matter to me, but it may matter to somebody.
It may matter in that there may be a group of citizens that don't like what Dave Sands doing on the school board. We sit here and we extend his term by a year.
Yeah.
But
Now
there may
the
be a
public
group of
has to put-
citizens that want him to stay, and we shorten it to 09.
Well, there might be that
And we're
too.
looking at the same thing.
And the organization may be my wife, which is particularly.
Well, you're just getting a start, Dave.
This is just beginning, right?
I think for continuity of the board, since it doesn't directly involve me, the way it's suggested here, in my opinion, looks better than to potentially have 4 up at one time. Obviously, you're going to have 3 propped up in 08 or in 011, but I just, and I have no idea if Doug's running or I'm running, but I'm just saying that to have 4, I don't feel comfortable with having 4 people up for election on a 5-person board in 09. That's my opinion, but it makes more sense. And there again, that's,
I don't think, I'm going to give you my opinion, I don't think that would make any sense when you have the opportunity to do it differently. Either have 3 and 2, one direction or the other. I think that would seem dangerous for a board to have literally 80% of their board turnover at one time, when we have the conditions set before us that we can make a decision, even though we don't like the choices. It's the choices we've been given by the legislature.
Can we ask the legislature why they ever moved board terms from 3 years to 4 years? What their, I mean, I can't even think what their logic would
It's
be.
fewer elections, and they've shared how many millions of dollars they will share. They've also changed the whole schedule for special elections, and there are only particular dates and times, and there are fewer of those. It's all about saving money. And Iowa Association of School Boards' primary petition against it was, it's very hard to find people to run for school boards in Iowa, and then you make it a 4-year term. It's just not that fun of a thing to do that people are going to say, sure, now I'll do it for 4 years. So, although you guys like being on the board. So.
Oh, yeah.